Some of them are in the realm of fantasy. I just know I won't be working with some of them. Al Pacino.
Not everyone deserves forgiveness, especially when they destroy a woman's entire life. At 93 years old, Angie Dickinson, the star who once captivated all of America, has broken her silence for the first time about the 5 men she will never forgive. They aren't just famous names, they are icons who once stood beside her on the red carpet, on screen, and even in bed. But after 7 years, Angie has chosen to expose each of them coldly, without mercy. So who tops the list? And what could make a 93-year-old woman still carry such rage to this day? Is it fear, betrayal, and a shattered soul? Angie Dickinson was born on September 30th, 1931, in Combe, North Dakota, an unlikely place to produce one of Hollywood's most alluring icons of the 1950s to 1970s. From a girl who loved writing poetry and had no formal acting training, Angie entered Hollywood as an outsider, but within a decade, she had outshined hundreds of other beauties, appeared in over 50 television films, and became the first seductive female action hero on American screens, something nearly impossible at the time. Her fierce independence and smoldering gaze elevated her from supporting roles to leading lady status in hits like Rio Bravo, Dress to Kill, and most notably the TV series Policewoman, where she became America's first female TV cop, a groundbreaking figure for that era. Fame came with controversy. Angie was dropped for major roles simply because she refused to sleep with producers. The press dubbed her a sex goddess, but behind the scenes, many in the industry whispered far crueler names. Her relationship with Frank Sinatra, romantic, in the tabloids, was in reality a string of jealousy and control. Frank once threatened to shut down an entire film crew if Angie dared kiss another man on screen. "I loved him," she said, "but I was never truly myself around him." Tragedy struck again when her only daughter, Nikki, who suffered from severe autism, took her own life at age 40. Angie didn't speak to the press. She didn't cry for the cameras. She simply wrote in a letter, "I survived, but a part of me died." With her, now at 93, Angie has no reason to protect anyone's reputation. She's not afraid of losing roles, of Hollywood's backlash, or of staying silent anymore. And she has chosen to speak out to name 5 men she once loved, trusted, even idolized, and now hates with every fiber of her being. Who are they? What did they do to her? And who tops Angie Dickinson's blacklist? What kind of pain has she carried? For nearly 7 years, the first man, Frank Sinatra, the manipulator in a lover's mask. Frank could make you feel like a queen in the morning, and by nightfall, you were just a discarded toy. Angie Dickinson. Hollywood called them the golden couple. But Angie, she called it the most dangerous relationship of my life. Frank Sinatra, the king of swing, a man who could make millions of women tremble with just a glance. But behind the spotlight, Frank was a monster in silk gloves. At first, he made Angie feel special, morning bouquets, intimate dinners by the pool where he whispered she was unlike anyone else. But the sweetness vanished the moment she landed a role that involved kissing another man. Frank threw the script in her face and coldly declared, "You are mine. No one touches you, not even." On screen, he banned her from seeing male friends, had her followed on set, and once, when she attended a casting he didn't approve of, she returned home to find all her belongings destroyed, and every photo of them burned. Sinatra never hit her, but he broke her by making her fear her own voice. He didn't need to hold her hand. He held her filming schedule, her co-stars, her contracts, even her sleep. Angie once wrote in her journal, "He didn't want me to love him. He wanted me to forget anyone else existed." The breaking point came in 1970 when Angie was nominated for a lead role in a critically acclaimed indie film. Frank called the director at 2 a.m. and said, "If you keep her in that movie, I'll make sure you never work in Hollywood again." The role disappeared, no explanation. That was when Angie realized loving Frank Sinatra was like living in a golden cage, and inside, she no longer existed, and to this day, she still cannot forgive him. I once loved the man every woman dreamed of, but I paid with my soul. The second man, Burt Bacharach, my husband, the man who turned me into a stranger. To my own daughter, people ask why I hate him. I don't hate, I loathe. Because he didn't just walk away from me. He abandoned our poor daughter to Angie Dickinson, Burt Bacharach, the musical genius, Grammy-winning icon of American music in the 60s and 70s. But to Angie, he was just a runaway in a designer suit. They married in 1965. At the time, Angie was at the peak of her career. The media called them the perfect couple. She a Hollywood star, he a brilliant composer. But inside their $1 million Beverly Hills mansion were nights Angie cried alone, while Burt vanished with the excuse of seeking inspiration. Not long after, their daughter Nikki Bacharach was born. Unlike other children, Nikki was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, a condition still largely misunderstood at the time. Angie fell into crisis. Burt stayed silent. I held our baby in my arms shaking, and all he asked was, will she affect my schedule? From that moment, Angie raised Nikki alone, carried the entire burden by herself. Burt, instead of being a father, chose escape through beautiful women, yachts, and wild Vegas nights. One time, Angie called him pleading for his signature on a special treatment request for Nikki. He replied, "I'm recording. Don't call again unless she's dead." And then came the cruelest truth. Burt had been cheating with a young singer the entire time. Angie was pregnant, and not just once. He even brought her into their home while Angie slept next door with their baby. I woke up in the middle of the night and heard their laughter downstairs. It wasn't music. It wasn't art. It was betrayal. In 1981, they divorced, the press reported. Mildly, the couple split amicably. But Angie never truly forgave, because Burt didn't just destroy a wife's life. He shattered the fragile, tiny world of an innocent child who needed her father. The third man, Jack Webb. He didn't need to touch me. Just one phone call was enough. He had no photos with Angie, no romantic rumors, no public scandal. But according to her, he was the one man who destroyed her entire career in just 12 hours. A television mogul, a producer behind a string of blockbuster shows in the 1970s. A man every actress had to smile at even when they were on the verge of tears. Angie recalled, "I once refused to sleep with him, thinking I was famous enough to be respected. The next morning, 3 roles disappeared. Contracts were canceled without explanation. Friends in the industry whispered, 'You said no to him. You're finished.' No one dared speak his name. No one made eye contact with him in meetings. He had the power to turn a leading lady into an outcast with a single sentence." Angie didn't cry. She quietly packed up her dressing room. And that very day, she understood. I could win over audiences, but I would never beat the system. The fourth man, Larry King, the one who loved in the cruelest way. He didn't hit her, didn't insult her, didn't scream. He simply stared at her every time she smiled at someone else. And then he began to dismantle her life slowly, deliberately. He wasn't as famous as Frank, not as powerful as the producers, but he knew how to make Angie believe he loved her more than anyone ever had. Every touch, every stroke of her hair, every vow was scripted to control. "You're mine forever. If you leave me, I won't survive. But I won't let you live in peace either," he told her. Angie slowly lost her friends, her jobs, her laughter every time she came home 10 minutes late. He'd rage every time she complimented someone on TV. He'd smash the screen. Once, he secretly installed a microphone in her car just to hear if she sighed over someone else. When Angie tried to leave, he drank, slammed his head into a mirror, and bled onto her shoulder like a scene from a horror film. "I love you so much it's driving me crazy," he whispered, and Angie realized this wasn't love. It was a prison. I used to think pain was the price of great love, but now I know real love never comes with fear. Asterisk asterisk the fifth man, Johnny Carson. The fake smile, the public slap. He stepped onto the stage, hugged me in front of hundreds, then leaned in and whispered something I'll never forget. I just saved you from being humiliated. Don't make me regret it. The fifth man wasn't a lover, not a husband, not a jealous suitor. He was a friend, someone who once said he considered Angie family. He was the legendary host of a major entertainment show where Angie was invited to receive a Lifetime Achievement Award. The press called it a moving comeback for the queen of the screen. But to Angie, it was the most humiliating night of her life. Asterisk asterisk just minutes before stepping on stage, he received an old clip of deleted scene where Angie accidentally mentioned a producer previously accused of abuse. The clip could have reignited a scandal, painting her as someone digging up the past for attention. Instead of warning her or protecting her, he chose to smile, offer a hug, and play the savior. Then, live on air right before the cameras, he twisted the knife. Our Angie is a timeless icon. A woman who knows when to speak and when to stay silent. The crowd applauded. Angie stayed quiet because she knew that was a warning on air to the world that she had crossed the line by daring to say that name, and it was him later who helped blur her name from nomination boards. No one believed it, no one verified it. Only Angie and his eyes knew what really happened. I didn't need his love, I needed his loyalty. But he chose the audience, not me. 5 men, 5 names that once graced photos, fueled rumors, and dominated magazine covers. Today, they no longer hold the power they once did. But Angie, she's still here, and she remembers. I've forgiven myself, but not them. Thank you for watching. Share this video if you believe that every woman, whether a movie star or an ordinary soul, deserves the right to speak out. And don't look away, because in our next video, we'll unveil Angie Dickinson's secret diary where she wrote the words she never dared to say until now. Heat heat.